just another reminder for everyone that hasn't yet or isn't able to, the Sign Up Genius link is in Slack for everyone that has just joined.
All right, Danielle, the floor is yours.
Alrighty, so hi everyone. I'm going to share a little bit with you today about my son Jack. He was born in May of 2015, and at about 6 weeks old, he started having seizures, and he was then diagnosed with an ARX genetic mutation that resulted in severe epilepsy that didn't respond well to medication, and he also had really low muscle tone. So that meant that he had a lot of trouble doing just the everyday things that we take for granted in life, like being able to hold his head up. He needed help positioning his body, his arms, and his legs. He needed help communicating. He even needed help clearing his airway at times with a suction machine. So Jack came with a lot of baggage and a lot of equipment. As he grew older, we started to seek out equipment that would help us best support him and give him some mobility. So this included things like a stander, because in order to help your joint develop properly, you needed to have weight-bearing exercises, and he couldn't do any of that on his own. So we had a special piece of equipment help him stand. We had a wheelchair that was on a stroller jogging base so that we could take him places and he could be properly supported. We had a specially designed beanbag chair called a Peapod, just so that he could sit up in our living room and watch his siblings play. And I mean, who wants to sit in a wheelchair all day long? So we were always looking for different ways to get him up and looking around and keep him included in our family activities. And our family was one of the lucky ones. We had access to great medical and therapy support teams that helped us find a lot of our equipment. But oftentimes I was left to do most of that research myself. And a lot of times I found my answers by networking with other families like mine. Beyond that, we would run into problems at home and have to figure out some sort of solution. So we call them Jack hacks. That could be something just as simple as finding a weird piece of modular hose to attach his iPad to his wheelchair. Or we asked a friend of ours to adapt a button switch so that he could turn on his Elmo toy and listen to Elmo read nursery rhymes. I used styrofoam pool noodles to help position his head when he was in his wheelchair or his bed. And I used the pool noodles as bumper supports on the bottom of his feeding pole for his feeding pump so that his siblings wouldn't bump their heads on it and I wouldn't scratch up my walls too badly. We also used an old car seat to create a swing for him so that he could be fully supported in a swing, and that's things that you see now on fully adapted playgrounds. Those just have been so amazing in the last few years, but even back in 2015, there just weren't a lot of those adaptive playgrounds for us. So all of the equipment we chose for Jack was really chosen for two reasons, and that was for accessibility, to keep him involved in things with us at home and out in the community, but also to keep him comfortable. Like I said, his Peapod chair, his beanbag chair, kept him sitting upright, where prior to that, it was either somebody was holding him or he was laying down. And his wheelchair had an activity base, like you can see in this video, where I could lower him down closer to the floor so that he'd be on the same level as his little brother. And as they both got older, it was fun for both of them to be able to interact at more eye-to-eye level, and Leo could push Jack around, and we could also bring him up higher so that he was at the same level as us at the table. Obviously, I mentioned, Jack required a lot of other equipment at home, and I had to use a lot of creativity to make sure that our living room didn't look like a hospital room. Um, there are a lot of products out there that are marketed for special needs or as modified, but those items cost probably 4 times as much as just like any typical item would be. So I did lots of things to try and make it both usable, because we had nurses that would come into our home to help us care for Jack, so everything still needed to be functional, but I still wanted it to be fun so that none of us were staring at medical equipment all day long and feeling like we were in a hospital. And so these pictures show Jack in his wheelchair outside. He loved to sit out in the sun, and then the blue Peapod chair. And then you can see one of the modular hoses we used to clip his iPad on. And then as he got bigger, we used a special device called an eye gaze device, which was a computer screen that monitored where he was looking, and he could make selections on the screen to start communicating with us, which is pretty cool. There are so many different ways to be innovative to make life easier for families like mine. And once you take the time to kind of really think about, okay, there's a real person behind all of these pieces of equipment, and there's so many different ways that families need help. And oftentimes I was just too busy caring for Jack that I didn't have time to go and seek out some of these solutions that I know you guys are the inventors of the future. There's so many different things you could do, and children and individuals with disabilities are always best served in their homes and in their communities with the right supports. And so that means that they need options and they need accessibility. So I really appreciate you guys our story, and I have given Jerome and Maddie some links of other things that you can take a look at, just for other ideas. And I do have a link to Jack's specific chair because it looks kind of cool. You can see the 360 view and all of the accessories that are available for it. All of his stuff costs a lot of money, and insurance usually will cover one every 10 years. So kids have to be really sure about what you're buying the first time. You don't get to try a lot of things. So if anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer them, or you can always ask Maddie later and she can get in touch with me. But thank you for letting me share.
We have a question over here. Can you tell us like around how much Jack's chair cost?
The wheelchair is, I mean, it starts at about $2,500, and that's with no accessories. Every piece you add to it from the base model is probably another $400 to $500 a piece. So we eventually added the pole for his feeding accessories, and then we added a tray that came off the back so we could carry his oxygen tank. We had a canopy so that you could sit outside. The stroller base came with the chair, but then we had to pay for the activity base so I could raise and lower him. That was like another $1,500. What else? There are other accessories, but I mean, you have to decide too, because insurance typically does not pay for any accessories. They only pay for the bare minimum. And once again, we were lucky. I count ourselves as one of the lucky ones because we had a waiver through the state for long-term services. So that helped pay for some of that stuff. And then we fortunately were able to tap on our family for support for some of our other purchases, like our beanbag chair. So networking and asking for help was always a big deal.
Any other questions from any of the team? Okay. And Danielle, if you could think of one thing that you want these kids to remember as they're thinking of solutions and engineering kind of something that's going to take care of families or individuals that are struggling, you know, what's something that you would like them to remember to hold tight as they're doing this?
One of the has stuck with me as I've kind of gotten more involved in the world of advocacy is nothing for us without us. So as you're thinking about going forward and helping other people, including them, you know, asking questions, going out and observing things, and just going right to the source. That doesn't have to just be individuals with disabilities. I mean, always include people. Inclusion is just by far the most important thing.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today, Danielle.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, I will log off.
And really appreciate your time.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to
Bye.
stop the recording.